I've watched people go from saying, well, this is how we do it, to this is how CPG does it. The Container Port Group is a drayage company, over 500 employees. The business challenge that led us to Waybook stemmed from a need to bring consistency, standardization, and scalability from within our business model that didn't really exist. We had a fragmented system when it came to documented processes, procedures, policies, and it was spread out across various platforms within the organization. Waybook was really easy to implement. We have been able to standardize and document over 120 business processes, policies, and or procedures within a single source of truth. I can't imagine life in our organization without the playbook now. It's not just words on a page, it's an experience in Waybook.
Kicking us off, can you just briefly describe the business and what you do?
The Container Port Group is a drayage company. We're one of 4 sub companies or operating companies of the World Group, and each brings a different element to the supply chain and logistics business. So Container Port Group focuses on the trucking and drayage component, and I specifically bring, I've got around 20 years of experience in education from teaching, coaching, counselor, and then 8 years in this business of transportation and logistics. And we've brought in a new team to our company called the Process and Training Team, where we focus on business process assessments and improvement, and then any accompanying training programs for these within the business.
Can you just give us a bit of a size and shape of CPG in terms of team numbers and where that location is?
Yeah, sure. So Container Port Group has roughly over 500 employees, and those employees fit within a couple different teams. We have operational teams, we have commercial teams, and then we have support and shared service teams. We have over 30 terminals, which are locations across the nation. We have 2 corporate offices, one in Cleveland, Ohio, and then a satellite corporate office in Mobile, Alabama. And my team, the Process and Training Team, supports all of these roles in some facet from processes and from a training standpoint.
Can you describe the challenges that you were facing that kind of originally brought you to Waybook?
The business challenge that led us to Waybook stemmed from, we had a lot of growth. We did very well during COVID. Our industry in general did well, but Container Port Group thrived during the COVID boom. And during this time, when we came out on the other side, had a need to bring consistency, standardization, and scalability from within our business model that didn't really exist. We had a fragmented system when it came to documented processes, procedures, policies, and it was spread out across various platforms within the organization. It could be a cloud service, it might have been a physical format, and it might have even been tribal knowledge that sat in an employee's head, which is not scalable as we grew as a business, expanded, faced different mergers and acquisitions. So enter the Process and Training Team. And as my team has come to light and started to transform within the business and for the business, it became clear that we needed a centralized repository where we could store all of our content and to serve as a single source of truth for our business and for our people. Thus, we found Waybook to serve as this comprehensive playbook solution.
Yeah, the tribal knowledge, as you mentioned, that feels, it's something we hear quite a lot, and it almost evokes an emotional reaction because people are like, oh yeah, that is what happens, and that is chaos. But how would you perhaps describe the business impacts of that?
I can't imagine life in our organization without the playbook now. So when I go back in time and try to remember how it was and what led us to this point where we're at now, our organizational effectiveness and consistency was lacking. Our siloed knowledge and our pods were successful, but when you brought it all together as a whole, that centralized standard way of doing things it wasn't consistent.
How has Waybook solved those problems? What do you use Waybook for? How does it live in the business?
So we took an incremental approach to Waybook. I think everyone in any form of business or just life in general knows that change is hard. So we were able to introduce it slowly but surely and secure buy-in from from key stakeholders around the organization. And we started small with just the set in stone processes, procedures, and policies that everyone agreed on. And there were only a few of those, but it was a starting point. We went live in March, and now being in almost September, we have been able to standardize and document over 120 business processes, policies, and or procedures within a single source of truth within the playbook. And this is pivotal for our organization because these are not business processes or documentations or content or even just knowledge sharing that's only applicable to one group. This is across the entire container port organization, and it speaks to multiple roles, if not all roles. So we have this central repository now of information, content, processes that people can refer to. They can empower themselves. They can go and, as I like to say, ask three before me. They can go dig in, check the playbook, ask a coworker, whatever they need to do before they go to their manager. So they feel empowered about this. And now we're at a point where we have rolled this out in such a way that we have a backlog of requests for additional content to get added into the playbook, which is pretty exciting. If you start shoving things down people's throats, they tend to kind of back up and say, whoa, 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 what's going on? However, by this slow rollout, we built a demand. I will give a huge kudos that Waybook, outside of being a central repository of information, it's also easy to access. It's got plugins for Teams, which we live in Microsoft Teams, so people can just use the add-in feature to shoot a document over or shoot a playbook page over. We do have the mobile application. And outside of that, we get huge buy-in and feedback from the business that it's not just words on a page. We can put videos, we can embed tangos or, walk through tutorials. We can put memes and GIFs and all kinds of things in there to capture different people's attention and learning styles so that they are actually absorbing and retaining the information rather than just having text on a page.
What would you say are the most valuable things about Waybook?
So Waybook internally as a team, it's given me and my team a leap toward efficiency and clarity in our roles. We're able to have a source of truth and a backbone for the training that we're providing for the business and for the people. So it's essentially not just the business's standard source of truth or single source of truth, it's also ours as well. So it reinforces anything we're training. We say all the time, if it's not in the playbook, it's not trainable because it's not standardized and documented somewhere to be reinforced. So it provides, a great backbone for the process and training team. The impact has I've watched people go from saying, well, this is how we do it to this is how CPG does it. And the ease of accessing the playbook makes it 10 times better, but people are actually screenshotting or using the add-in through our Teams plugin for Waybook and hitting each other with different topics and content in the playbook, not as a gotcha, but as it's in the playbook. If you went and looked and saw this, then you would know, which has actually driven more and more retention. And it's created, people almost go into the playbook to say, I'm going to see if it's in here so I can throw it at you so you can know and use it as a tool instead of operating in a way that makes no sense. So it's kind of turned into a little competition of, I'm going to look and see if I can find it in a playbook before you can, which everybody needs a little bit of competitive advantage internally as well. When I think about the value of bringing Waybook into the business, thinking about the ROI behind the scalability, the support, the level of comprehension and accessibility that all of the employees will have to that single source of truth. Cleaner processes and more efficiency faster by having a single source of truth. You're not battling multiple different facets of information floating around all over the place. You're going to get adoption faster because, again, you're going to one place that everyone can access. Your retention is going to be higher because there's a constant support system and source of truth for the employees to go back and reference. Your service defects, service failures, whatever your costs are, that should be in turn rising and increasing your revenue. That should be affected because people are following a set standard and they have something to reference. So, and again, it's not just words on a page, it's an experience in Waybook. So the revenue is affected as well. But the biggest thing that I've seen is that our onboarding and our new hires has slowed down, which is a good thing because our turnover has gone down because we have more tools to drive the business forward and to keep our culture where it needs to be.
Really nice. When you say your onboarding and hiring has slowed down, what do you mean?
Our turnover is down, at least for our operating company. We probably, I'd have to pull the specific numbers, but we don't have as many new hires coming in. We're not onboarding as many new employees because our roles people aren't leaving the organization.
Amazing. That's really powerful. What surprised you about Waybook?
Waybook was really easy to implement. The platform provides enough space to be creative and to put components in that are flashy and attractive and will help engage the platform and the people to want to actually look at it, but not enough that you get lost in the design. And as I say, lost in the sauce, you end up down a rabbit hole of design where you spend all day trying to make something look pretty and you lose sight of what you're actually doing. So, the Waybook team has done a great job of doing the back end research of best practices. Anything longer than this, needs to be a new step. Doing those case studies and the analysis of how people retain and what their brain sees on a screen. That's really been pretty exciting because in general, a lot of people write out policies and processes and SOPs and they're pages upon pages upon pages. That has been a pleasant surprise. It was a little concerning at first because we had some long SOPs and it was how do we scale these down so they're more palatable? And the platform made it easy. It's pretty much foolproof.
So based on the results that you've seen so far, where do you see the impact of Waybook within the next 6 to 12 months?
In the next 6 to 12 months, I think that the impact Waybook has on our business will drive more efficiency. I think we're going to essentially more cost management within our business. Just thinking about what's in queue right now to be published and go live in the platform for us, we're looking at saving 20 to 30% of potential loss cost right now by having a standard for our people to use and our business to follow. That alone keeps the doors open and the lights on and the business running. Also, I see in the next 6 to 12 months, Waybook expanding our business more and connecting our different operating companies. Before Waybook, we were successful, but operating in a multitude of different mini businesses, essentially. Everyone did things the way that worked for their team or for their location. And while that might work in the short term, it does not work long term when you're trying to scale and grow and streamline your business and your processes. It's not efficient. And when you start to try to incorporate other technology into that, it definitely isn't scalable. And without tech, at least in our business, we're really not able to you're throwing more human bodies at things instead of allowing technology to enhance your business. So as we've been incorporating new components of technology into our business, all these little siloed processes and ways of operating have really come to light and kind of caught fire. So where we were then, and then where we are now, since we have introduced Waybook, it's kind of put those fires out and said, okay, we can integrate, we can bring in new technological components, we can streamline our business more and more. And by using and having a single source, by having Waybook, we're able to kind of see what we call entry to invoice, that workflow, that life cycle of our business. We're able to see everything that that process touches, as opposed to just one segmented part, which essentially then at the end of the day, we've saved money on automation, things like RPA and other automated tools for our business, because we're now scoping our projects and our expansion of our organization and the new tools that we're integrating across the entire business instead of only that one segmented group. So outside of doing things the CPG way now, instead of the Atlanta way or the Houston way or any specific location or team, we're now doing things the CPG way.
If someone is on the fence about using Waybook, what would you tell them?
Waybook is what you make it. It can be a full LMS if you want it to be a full LMS. It can be a start to finish learning management system and experience. It can be a central repository. It can be a giant folder of content if that's what you want it. But Waybook has the ability to scale as small or as large as you want it to be. Don't go to the grocery store without your grocery list, because you're going to end up leaving with 32 packs of Oreos and you're going to forget all your meat and potatoes. Waybook is your grocery list. It keeps you organized, whether you just need a short list to grab a couple items or you need a long list to cook your Thanksgiving meal. Waybook gives you that flexibility and versatility to kind of make it what you want it to be.
Is there anything else that we can kind of share whilst we're on the call? I know I've taken up a huge amount of your time, but anything in your mind?
When it came time to renew our contract for Waybook, I did say, if we don't renew Waybook, I'm going to leave and go to another organization. Like, I can't imagine going backwards. And that's not just to fluff you guys up and make you feel good about it. It's because it actually works. It's internally for my team, but for our business as well. I just can't imagine going back. I don't know how we operated without it before. It was too painful.
All right. Have a lovely day. Thank you so much, Alex. Really appreciate your time as always. Take care now.